This is Jeremy Zwinger with the Rice Trader, just doing our weekly summary as we use video to augment our weekly publication. As always, it's just a pleasure to be here and to be able to talk to our clients somewhat in person. I am back in California for now. I've actually been quite around. I've spent some time in Sacramento working on the August 1st Sacramento event. Was in San Francisco meeting various clients and friends and working on the conference and meeting with some very interesting financial people that are looking at the rice market as well and the changes that are occurring in our market. So it's been a very interesting week for me. And on that note, I think there's a lot of interesting things also occurring in the rice trader. It seems in a lot of ways that prices are up, although supplies remain rather immense. There has been some demand that's definitely pushed up the Thai and Viet levels. It's been rather interesting because of that, that the market seems up even though last week's USDA supplies just highlighted how ridiculously large global supplies are. And so I think this is a real balance. We've asked the question at the the Dubai little seminar we had, can rice prices go below 300? In some ways, the answer would be yes if you compare it to the 2006-07 levels and the things going on back then. In some ways, no, just because costs have increased so much for the growers and the cost of production is much higher than that time. So it's a real dichotomy of things, I think. I think people are underestimating how low the market could go. But as we've moved down, probably about $70 off in some markets, the world conference levels, one has to be very careful of thinking go too low. But one also needs to see sometimes we underestimate the risks that can occur. And that's what I keep trying to highlight to the clients. I'm not overtly negative, but I think one needs to really watch this market. When you have record rice stocks, 170 plus million tons, record wheat stocks, record soybean stocks, and it looks like this El Nino, although it's hurting the crops, we're still going to have a massive world crop. 500 million metric tons of rice alone. This is a real issue, and you need new demand. And I continue to go back really to China as we talk about things. China is the wild card. There's people throughout the world hoping on the 5 million metric tons of imports into China. There's a true potential, not that it's going to happen, but a real potential when you look at the data. China become the #1 exporter in the world. And I don't say that lightly. You're talking about the #1 importer becoming the #1 exporter. And that would be amazing, really. But the data shows that they're going to have to reduce their stocks. The people have tried to say the stocks aren't real, that USDA and other people are saying. When you talk to the key guys in that nation, they reiterate the stocks are real. That there is 80% of rice of the national consumption in stock. That there is 80% of the corn, 117% of the yearly consumption of wheat in stock. So that's a big question, and it does seem from a lot of people that there is there. And if that's true, China is in the position, especially in rice, with 116 million metric tons, to export. They definitely showed last year that they can go above 3 million tons. Will they go to 4? Will they go to 5? Will they be the third biggest exporter in the coming year? One needs to watch this very closely. Not that it happens, but just the potential is there for it to happen when we're managing risk. So with that, so I have a couple of things I'm going to show you from the rice trader. I'll give you a couple of my thoughts and concerns. And let me just share my screen here, and we can look at a few important things this week. So you should be seeing now the rice trader excuse me for this. I won't minimize, so I'm going to move it. There we go. And I always go to the front page. Looking at the key things for all of us. We're very busy, and so the team goes to a great amount of work to summarize things because we know the world is so fast-paced. And if you look at the TRT 20 years ago, it was nowhere near as organized as this. Even when I started the TRT, 15-ish years ago, it didn't have the summaries to help people quickly get the data. Well, today it really does. And so it looks and says some of the things I said. You definitely see the markets are up a bit. People are very looking at the crops and looking at what's happening on many levels. And you talk about here, our team talks about the erosion of prices in paddy, and we're seeing that in the U.S. too. Going all over, what is the demand? Where is it going? And so, we do definitely see the Philippines and China to a point in the market. you have some normal demand. But if I go back a week, this Indian crop estimate from their government of 5 million metric ton increase, what's India going to do with this 5 million metric tons? They already are the biggest exporter of the year. And in fact, if you look down, I'm just going to jump down, although just down to our monthly updates. You can look down and see this data for India. Our team did a great job of summarizing the data for the year. And you can see, country by country where India was for the year. They were 11.6 million metric tons, which was down 4%. What are they going to do with 5 million metric tons more? Could they go to 16 million metric tons? If that's the case, who's going to buy it? That's a very big question. So again, I think the team summarizes that well here and just kind of goes what's going on. What's happening in Myanmar, definitely seen some African demand. And in the U.S., it's a bit of a political market. You see some very key things going on. The Farm Bill is going to do some massive amount of rice. The only thing that's going to hold it back is, of course, this wetness, which being talked about in all of the grains. But rice is the only commodity, regardless of quality. As long as you get yield, you're going to make a massive amount, a couple $100 an acre. That's a huge advantage for rice. And that's hitting the market significantly. At the same time, stocks look like they're the highest in history at 49 million metric tons, 49 million hundredweights. Just dramatic increase from last year, a 30 million metric ton increase in stocks in the U.S. from last year. And it looks like most people are saying the crop will be at least this size. If rain allows, it'll be much bigger than last year. If it doesn't, it'll be down. Now, the U.S. is really focused on Iraq. They've already priced getting Iraq into the market. Very focused on political items of trying to induce trade. But as we showed last week, they had the lowest export since 1997 out of the U.S. This is critical because they're going to be looking for demand. And so if the crop is anywhere near this with this huge carryout, they've been trying to keep prices up. It's just not going to happen. This $10 futures, it could easily go to $8 on how much reduction demand we got this year. And so there's some real issues in the U.S. pricing model. So anyway, as I always say, we summarize what the key articles are after our general summaries. We have an update on Iraq, FAO pricing, and India. With that, let me just show you a couple more things, and of course, there'll be time for the weekend. I do like this new table that we've put together. Actually, I spent quite a bit of time on it. I like it because it's just beginning and it summarizes our key prices for the week. And always, again, and I can't stress it enough, we do such an amount of time to make sure that the weekly highlights are summarized for you. I'm not going to read them off. Of course, you can do this. In fact, I realized last week when I looked at the TRT that I needed to go much higher. So I'm going to go to 200% as we're looking at this so you guys can see what I'm seeing. These are key updates. A lot going on. I can only talk so much in the 10 minutes I give myself. Definitely read these highlights, whether you're a manager or a new trader. It definitely helps to check that we're catching the pieces and that watching the data and everything. So in addition, I would kind of highlight a few things. I'm going to run to one of my favorite graphs. Of course, the price table we just went through and showed just how prices have been off this week. You can see in our weekly price table, just how far they fell here. And you can see that, the U.S. is very stagnant while Thai and Vietnam is up and India is up as well. So it's been kind of an up week in the midst of these high supplies. But getting to it, I love this table. Not that it's always 100% accurate because we adjust the summary table here. But as a trader, it helps to know where you are in the year. And with what's going on in India and other places, where are they with this huge amount of supply? Well, India is down 20% in the early data. Thailand's down 22% in early data. The U.S., which again was down 19% last year in calendar year, is down 12%. If I were in that industry and trading aggressively, I would be throwing up the emergency barriers, having meetings just because the talk is how everything is great and there's no problems in Nicaragua, there's no problems anywhere. Scientists are just saying crazy things because it's become the norm of, we can't talk about the problem. The U.S. has got some real deep issues nobody's talking about, and it's quite frustrating when you privately talk to a lot of the players. And that's why you see continued drop in their exports. It's just a major issue. But this table summarizes that well. Besides that, we've hit most of the major points. I'll just kind of move down the TRT as we're talking. You know, I love all of our sections. I love the depth that our guys go in the prices when you look at any of the countries, and they keep adding prices and adding consistencies, just like the daily report. And so there's just a lot of real positive data in here. By far, I mean, I know some people may have better and prettier websites, if they will. It doesn't compare to the amount of data and the amount of intensity we look at these markets. Other people can put out reports, but they're almost a joke compared to the depth that we don't even show in this. They just don't compare. Although, you know, hats off to some players are trying to put the nice wrapping on a not so good present. That happens at times, you know. But I tell you, you look at the data just in India here, it's so extensive, and there's so much we don't show. And of course, I'm just going to run through the U.S. section. I did want to highlight again this import table. I loved very much. It just showed, you know, the change in imports out of the U.S. And this is only caught imports. There's actually much higher imports into the U.S. But this is what's being caught. And the major change of up 14% when exports were down 19% in the year should highlight how big the issue of quality and leadership really is. And again, just outside of this, a few last couple of things, because I'm going a little longer than I like. You know, you can look through the Latin American section. You can look through all these pieces. There's a very good report on the Iraqi trade. You know, hats off to Subra each week. Spent a lot of time looking at this and updating it and just giving a good summary of this key market. And again, the U.S. is desperately in need of this business right now. We'll see if they get it. They sure believe they've gotten it. There's also some FAO data that we show down here. And then that's pretty much it. You know, we summarize a lot of key pieces in this. I just want to take this last time as I get to the end to highlight our team. You know, Mr. Subra always is awesome, and Dorsey and Peggy, and the whole team does such a great job. And I really appreciate all the help they give us, making sure we put out a report each day and each week. You know, we definitely have a good team serving the world industry. Outside of that, and I'd just like to remind you that we have the Rice Trader Conference on August 1st in the U.S. There's actually going to be the Erie 20th anniversary at the same time, and we're doing a couple things with them. The Arfusa Asian Rice Foundation and Erie Union. This would be a great time to come to California. I'm going to do some tours of some water assets, some warehouses, some other things. I know there's a lot of guys who are interested in coming. And we're doing this big event on rice beer that should be rather large with 25 different brewers are coming already at such an early time. It should be one heck of a fun time. And please come on out and enjoy the time with us during that period. I'm going to end sharing here. But yeah, please come out on August 1st. And then, of course, we've already announced the World Rice Conference. It's on November 11 to 13. The hotel rooms are starting to go, so please be aggressive with that. I know it's going to be a very large conference. We have tons of people coming, tons of the Philippines are interested in coming, and we're definitely adding more aspects, including some research players that have taken an interest to really get to know the trade and understand their concerns. And so I expect it to be one of the best conferences we've had. And with that, I look forward to seeing you all. I hope I summarized the TRT well, and you're enjoying these videos that we do each week. And I just hope you guys have a great weekend and look forward to talking to you next week.